reaction video to a ZDF show about self-driving cars. ZDF stands for Zweites Deutsches Fernsehen, which is a national TV channel in Germany. And they had about a 10-minute clip about self-driving cars. And this is a reaction to this clip. I'm a bit concerned about it. That's why I'm doing it. I do reaction videos. Usually it's about conversations. It's usually technical stuff or sometimes philosophical. Now, this is actually a reaction to what I would call misleading information. I don't want to go as far as say it's a lie or it's misinformation, which is a loaded term anyway. But I think it's misleading in several ways. So the show is depicting a self-driving car effort by Daimler. So they're showing a car, a Mercedes, nice looking car, everything beautiful. And it's driving supposedly on its own. And they're not using the unsupervised self-driving term that is common here because of Tesla. But I would say you're just using similar terms like we're used to here in California. What they're doing is unsupervised driving. However, it's very limited unsupervised driving. It's very limited to a very specific use case, which is highway driving, daylight, no rain. You got to be behind somebody, no police around, and a couple of other things. So here's the first thing. Like, this is not the kind of self-driving that we're talking about here in California. And before I go further, you might say, well, okay, fine, but this is German TV. Why do they care about California? Well, they do. Because somewhere in the video, they actually do make snide remarks about Tesla. They even show how a Tesla accident, which is, that just shows you the misleading nature of the show. Like, they're showing an accident with a Tesla. We don't know if that accident happened because of self-driving or not. But more importantly, I mean, you could show many, many accidents with Mercedes also. So to show an accident like that, in my opinion, that's really crossing the line to propaganda. They're just trying to show that Teslas are dangerous and Mercedes are not. So this will be the first thing. But let's talk more technical about actually full self-driving. So the engineer that actually talks about it, and kudos to Mercedes, that they did dispatch an engineer to talk about this. And I would say he is certainly not lying. I don't think so. Because he's honest, and by being honest, he's kind of depicting the lacking nature of this product that Mercedes is touting as some sort of unsupervised self-driving. What he's saying is that when Mercedes loses GPS, then the car cannot be located, and therefore the car cannot be guided through the high-definition map that is necessary for the car to be driven. So what that tells me, now this is me inferring from that statement, that what this car is really doing is being teleoperated by an AI. So this is not, I'm not saying somebody's driving the car, but you have to think about it this way. There is an AI somewhere connecting with the car and driving the car, but the AI is not really with the car. So it's kind of like two separate systems. And if you lose connection, you can't drive. And then there's LiDAR and radar and cameras on the car, but you should think of them more like obstacle collision avoidance systems. And what does that mean? Now, look, this is a valid approach. I mean, you can say, look, why does all the computation, all the intelligence have to be with the car? We could have sort of a hybrid method where some intelligence happens outside of the car, sometimes in the car, and then we connect to your GPS. Well, first and foremost, we don't always have connection. So that's the first thing. So you can't have a full self-driving product, a robo-taxi product or something like that without always availability. Now, to be fair, Mercedes is not talking about cyber cabs or anything like that. But what they're trying to make the point in this video is that somehow, and actually they say it in the video, I'm going to put it in the show notes, the link. It's in German, so but just use translation. They say that BMW and Mercedes are ahead of Tesla when it comes to full self-driving, because Tesla is only level 2. That's what they're saying. Now, technically, that's true. Tesla's full self-driving, supervised full self-driving, is a level 2 system, but of course, it's way more than a level 2 system compared to any other level 2 system. Because if anybody who's actually tried the system, anybody who's actually tried the system with a test that this has nothing to do with ADAS or some sort of collision warning or that kind of thing. This car drives itself most of the time. And the reason that we are, we have supervised driving and that we can't even check our phone while we're driving, that's regulatory. The car is perfectly capable of driving itself. The car is actually being even capable of driving without anybody in the car. So that's a regulatory problem, not some sort of technical problem. And I think that's really the fundamental misleading aspect of the whole show, is to make a point that A, Mercedes is ahead of Tesla, and B, that somehow Tesla is more dangerous than Mercedes. They do say that it's a good thing to have these self-driving cars. They do reduce accidents and all of that, so they obviously talk their own book like every other car company, and that's fine, that's fair, we do believe that, that's not misleading. But what's misleading is that giving this impression to the viewers that Mercedes is ahead of Tesla, that Tesla is somehow behind, that what they have is state-of-the-art and nobody else has it. They do mention China also sort of as a side note, but again, I would be shocked if China didn't have at least concept cars that are way ahead of Mercedes. Then there's the price. They do mention 140,000 euro plus, so which is of course another small detail that a lot of people like to sort of not focus on, which is what's the price of all this? Tesla gives you a $40,000, $35,000 car with all the equipment and all the software attached to it. Yes, you have to pay for the software, but you can have this car, and that's the key. You can buy this car for 35, maybe 40,000. It depends where and tax breaks and all that, but we're clearly way below the Mercedes price tag. And then you still have, with Mercedes, you don't know how much you actually have to pay for the software and all these things. So to summarize, this is a reaction video, and I want to use the summary also to make a few general comments. But first, the summary of the facts is that in this video, they claim that Mercedes somehow has an advanced full self-driving system that is ahead of Tesla, which is not true. It's a very limited system compared to what Tesla has. Tesla's cars drive all over the place, in cities, on highways, with rain, with fog, with sun, without sun. There is no conditions attached to it. It's not like the system tells you we're ready or not, like the Mercedes system. The Mercedes system tells you, look, I'm not ready, I can't do this, there's too much fog here, or stuff like that. Tesla isn't. Now, to be fair, sometimes Tesla kicks you out. Sometimes Tesla says, I can't do this. For example, in California, in the morning and in the evening, but particularly in the morning, I'm a surfer, so when I go surfing and I drive, sometimes I drive east, which is a little counterintuitive, but there's some situations where you drive a little bit east and then you go west towards the coast. When I drive east right into the sunrise, the car has trouble. To be fair, I also have trouble. It's a specific situation, the Santa Cruz Mountains. So you're going up a mountain in a windy road, and you sometimes face the sun straight into your face. So the road takes you to the east side, and then you face right into the sun. You can't see, as a human, you can barely see anything, and the system would kick you out. So it's not like the system is totally bulletproof, and that's because there are only cameras in the system. But still, compared to what Mercedes has, it's much, much, much better. And what we would say is, and this is not a general comment, is that it's okay to make a show, it's okay to advertise, it's not okay to mislead people for two reasons. One is of course, it's anti-competitive, it's bad competition. But more importantly, also, people should not be misguided into thinking that this is the state of the art and that they have to pay 140,000 plus euros to get something like that. They can get this for much, much less. Now, this brings up the question of advertising, right? A lot of people are saying, Tesla, why don't you advertise? Look, these people are using, the national TV to advertise, mislead, but still some sort of advertisement. Now, again, on this point, Tesla, of course, there's a gazillion YouTube videos explaining Tesla self-driving. Full Marsh Catalog is somebody I follow here, but there's a lot of others. There's millions and millions of views in the Cybercab unveil. I think Tesla has a good, healthy way to get the message out. I'm not concerned about that. But there's still a certain type of customer that watches the nightly news or watches TV shows like this. By the way, when I say TV show, what I mean with that is it's not a news like daily news or anything like that. It's called ZDF Aktuell. So it just means, like, think about it, maybe like 60 minutes, maybe something like that along those lines. Not as high profile, but something along, like every now and then they would bring a clip, 20 minutes, half an hour about something that is interesting, maybe something contemporary, that kind of thing. So that's what I mean with TV show. I just don't want to confuse it with like a Netflix TV show. It has nothing to do with that. So again, I think there's people that consume their news, they consume their know-how, they consume their product knowledge and things like that from these types of shows. And it would be useful for Tesla maybe to have a little bit of a presence. I can talk my own experience. My mother would be a perfect customer for Tesla Full Self-Drive. She is 81 years old and just, not ready anymore to fully drive the car. She can drive, and this assisted driving that Tesla is offering would be amazing for somebody like her or her friends. So that's just as a side note. So the other thing that Mercedes is doing is, of course, not mentioning the price difference, and then also, most importantly, comparing apples to pears here, right? Full self-driving, conditional unsupervised full self-driving, the way Mercedes has it, has nothing to do with the supervised full self-driving that Tesla is offering right now, and soon the unsupervised that they will be able to offer. Last thing I want to say is just some technical comments on the Mercedes approach, which is, again, it's like, think about it like a high definition map, which is coordinated with the GPS coordinates of the car, and therefore the car at any moment knows exactly where it is and what it needs to do. Then it has radar and LiDAR and cameras for collision warning. But the way I see the system, it's more like an AI is driving the car from remotely, almost teleoperated, or it's some sort of relationship between remote and onboard compute, because whenever the GPS doesn't work, the car can't drive. So it tells me that it's not capable of fully autonomously driving on its own. There's some teleoperation. Now, that teleoperation is not human. At least that's not what they say. That's possible that is even human. That would be, of course, a disaster. But let's assume it's not. Let's assume it's an AI that is teleoperating the car, and then there's the sensors which are doing the collision warning. But even that, of course, that's not a long-term scalable solution. And as far as we know, that's not very unlike what Waymo has right now. Now, Waymo, I think, still has human teleoperation, but I wouldn't be shocked if Google or Waymo, which is part of Google, would use some sort of central cloud-based AI that is managing the car and teleoperating the car, and then again has the sensors on board to do collision warning, maybe make some sort of short-term decisions or latency sensitive decisions, things like that. But again, I mean, long-term, this is not a scalable solution. Long-term, the scalable solution is that you have the intelligence and the sensors and the data input and everything on board, and that you update, of course, you work diligently on updating the models, and that's what Tesla's doing with over-the-air updates and things like that. But It seems to me that the Tesla approach, it is a little bit more cumbersome. It took a little bit more time to come to market. They're still not to market with unsupervised driving versus Waymo is. Waymo is getting all the accolades right now. But I think long term, it is the Tesla approach that will win, and the scalable, at low cost, high value, full self-driving will be on the Tesla platform. Thank you.